So as Pam mentioned, we've known each other for a long time. And I find it funny that it's cool that she created a business called Hustle Like a Mom, because this woman has been hustling and on the go and working so hard for all the years that I've known her, and always with a hand in fashion, and whether it's just, helping our members because they have a question, or they need more information. She's generous with her time and just super smart. So Hustle Like a Mom officially formed in 2017, right? You have an anniversary, 4-year anniversary coming up. And I would say it's probably the culmination of all that you've done with branding and events, and you know, teaching people how to be successful, right? And as a mom, my kids are a little older. I appreciate what you're doing right now with your, school age kids, and working. It's not easy. So with that, Pam, you are on.
Okay. Hi everybody. Just want to take care of
You
logistics
should
real
be able
quick.
to share your screen.
I can, right? Okay, hold on.
And I'm going to ask everyone who is joining, just, keep yourself muted, and feel free to ask the questions. I'm going to put my email in the chat box right now. I also put my cell phone in. Sometimes people like to text the questions.
Okay, let me just get okay, here we go. Presentation. You guys still can't see that, can you?
Not yet.
Hold on one second. And let me just go back to Zoom. Give me 1 second and I will get that going. Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay, here we go. And then I will.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, my word.
Technology.
I tell you. I came in, I'm not going to lie before I get into my intro, in case anybody's of the same mindset. I came into technology kicking and screaming. So I really honestly say, if I can do it, Lord knows you can. So as Karen so generously introduced me, my name is Pamala Pekerman. I am the founder of Hustle Like a Mom. And before all of that, before Hustle Like a Mom, which is an events business as well as a multimedia platform geared towards helping women build a successful bridge from mom life to entrepreneur life, I have spent the last 15 years as an entrepreneur. Literally out of college, in my last year at NYU, I launched a little something that was supposed to be a working resume. This was in 2005. It was called bagtrends.com. And it was really just for me, when I met the Anna Wintours of the world, to show to them that I could write something wonderful. I bought a little domain, which obviously 15 years ago, bagtrends.com existed. And one thing led to another, and one thing led to another. And before I knew it, within the course of less than 2 years, bagtrends.com became the first online magazine for the contemporary handbag market. So we were finding the who's who, the Rebecca Minkoffs of the world before they became the who's who of the world. And that led to shopbagtrends.com. So I became a buyer, and that was kind of fun. So I know that aspect of the industry. And then the online magazine and the shop led me into TV. So I was on air with QVC, actually originally HSN, now they're together, HSN and QVC as their go-to handbag girl for a few years. And so I would go on air and talk about handbag trends, and obviously do the share to sell, which is what you're looking at right now. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but there's really no better hardcore selling strategy school than being on QVC or HSN. That is one tough cookie to crack. But all of it, as Karen said, led me to where I am right now, which is hosting events, teaching, and doing one-on-one coaching or group coaching or these types of workshops, predominantly for mom entrepreneurs, but nothing that I'm about to say is specific to moms. So that's kind of my little introduction. Really, what I bring to the table is storytelling and the value of mastering your messaging, because sharing is really the secret to selling. And we're going to get into this in a little bit. It's really about making an emotional connection. And so I think there's nothing more important in 2021 than making that emotional connection. Okay, so you can kind of pop in the comments or raise your hands if you'd like. But I really want at the end of this for you to go from a place of frustration to focus. And that would be an amazing feeling if you have that in the next 60 minutes. So whether you want to raise your hand or pop in the comments box, do you ever feel that you're not connecting with your customer? And also, by the way, I'll pause here on the word customer. I rarely use the word customer. I literally just used it in the first screen, just to let everybody know. When I use the word community, that's what I mean when I say customer or end user, and we can get into the mental shift that is needed for that. But it's really important to stop using the word customer, in my opinion, internally, at least when you're thinking of your strategy, and think about community, because that's going to get you in the mindset of what he, she, or they need. So do you ever feel you're not connecting with your customer? That social media is sucking your time away from real money moves. This was me definitely 2 years ago. So I know this 100%. That your newsletters are pointless and not converting to sales. Okay. And by the way, if somebody on this, I think there's about 20 of us here right now, if you are not collecting emails, you are leaving money on the table. Even if you can't figure out yet what to do with it, you should be figuring out a way to collect emails, because that is the only asset you have to talk to people. All the Saxes and the boutiques of the world, God forbid this should happen, but they could all close tomorrow, right? Instagram, Mark Zuckerberg can say, sayonara. You need to own people. So you need to own emails, not own people. So I want to make sure that when we're done with this, you have a little bit more focus and less frustration in that. So this is where I would like to bring you. I would love for you to feel like the go-to person in your niche. So if you are a handbag designer or a jewelry designer, I want you to feel that you own a spot, that you feel like you belong in that area, that you're operating with a clear social media plan that engages your community, okay? Again, not about throwing spaghetti on the wall, not about getting frustrated, but you know when you show up once a week or 3 times a week, whatever it is, on Instagram or Pinterest, whatever your platform of choice is, that you have a purpose and a reason for sharing, and it is an engaging content for your community. And last but not least, that the effort you put into your emails makes you money. And as somebody who has really focused on mastering her own messaging in the last year, I can tell you that when I wasn't focused and I wasn't using email marketing effectively or at all, to be honest with you, I was leaving lots and lots of money at the table. And I can tell you, from literally like the Lily Saduhi earrings to the Sarah Joy scarf. I mean, every Elise Ryan. I think I'm actually naming some of your members. Elise Ryan jewelry.
We appreciate that.
All of this was bought. Can anybody see that? Yes. Okay. Those are shoes from Sarah Jessica Parker. All of these were bought because some email came my way. Okay, and somebody knew I would want it. So just know how effective email marketing is when you're using the messaging that appeals to your community. So, okay. So in this presentation, I'm going to show you how building a community, again, there's that golden word, I love it so very, very much, has helped me build my business, and how, most importantly, how it can help you build yours. Okay. So my business's mission is helping women redefine what it means to be a working mom, right? Hustle Like a Mom is the goal is to build a bridge from mom life to entrepreneur life. I know who I'm speaking to, and because I know my community so well, it saved me in 2020. Now, and we'll get to that in a second. That being said, as I mentioned before, there's nothing that I'm about to say that if you're not a mom or you're not even a woman, there's no business tips or secret sauce that I'm saying right now that is specific to mom entrepreneurs. However, when I deliver it, because I'm clear on my community, my core community, and I'm clear on how I've mastered my messaging, I filter everything through what I call my brand goddess temple, which is like my blueprint for my business. And if you want to know more about the brand goddess temple, you can DM me on Instagram or just email me at p@pamalapekerman.com. But I filter everything through my messaging. And that's why it comes across from time to time in the visuals, it comes across in how I speak. But again, everything is applicable to all entrepreneurs. It's just, obviously I tailor my messaging to moms. Obviously, housekeeping, Karen went through all of these. Turn off all distractions. This was so much easier before the pandemic. I tried to find a turn off button on my children, but I've resolved that I use Post-its. So if anybody wants to copy my idea, red means they know that they cannot disturb me, and green means that they can. So there you go. Post-its are my friend. So best you can for the next 50 minutes, we're going to be together. More about me, you already know, Karen mentioned it. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm the founder of bagtrends.com. That led me to HSN and QVC, so I can sell ice to Eskimos. Trust me. That also led to a very successful TV career, which I still do. I still do time-saving tips for busy moms, as well as segments focusing on how to build a successful mompreneur business. I'm very specific when I show up, again, because it goes back to my messaging and it goes back to me knowing my community, which is all culminating in what we're going to talk about right now. And again, storytelling and messaging is really important. So all of that helped me build a virtual community because I took an ear and I listened to my community and I knew what they needed. Social listening is a phrase you're going to hear a lot in this year. Social listening, what does that mean? It could be IG polling. It could be sitting back and going to various events and taking note of what people are saying, what they're doing. But this idea of social listening and not just feeding out product and sharing to sell is the success. I don't even want to say it's a 2021 ignition. I believe that what we saw as far as like consumer habits beginning in 2020, it's going to be a long tail. We're going to see those habits permeate into consumer habits for many, many, many years to come. So here we go. Okay, I went through this. So again, I spent time building and nurturing a community. Again, this idea of nurturing a community and not always feeling the need that you need to sell. Because sometimes, and for many companies, 2020 was like this, and maybe the beginning of 2021 is potentially like this too. Maybe your community needs a pep talk. What does a pep talk mean? Maybe you're doing an IG live and you're growing community that way. Maybe you're going to do a Zoom on a topic that's relevant to your community, right? Are you an artist? Do you and you sketch your prints for your handbags? Can you do a Zoom or something around that? We can get into specifics, but again, it's not just about sell. You have to be able to share. You have to be able to know, what is my community needing right now? Do they need a pep talk? How can I grow my community and nurture them so that when they're ready, they're going to go and buy the shoes, right? Right now, they're just buying the headbands. Maybe they're just buying the jewelry. Is there a way to give them a pep talk? Hold on a second. Okay. So, okay. And actually, one more thing with respect to, I want to actually give an example of like big companies that are members of the Accessories Council that I have seen doing what I call like the pep talk, which is, yes, they're selling, right? Because they're getting in your face. Let's be very clear. We are all always selling something. Okay, it's 2021. This has been the case for like the last basically 2 decades. You're always selling something, whether it's yourself, your services, your jewelry, right? You're wearing your stuff. You're a walking billboard. But when I say, pep talk, I'm talking about giving some kind of inspiration, saying and showing, I'm with you. I'm in the same boat. I'm homeschooling, you're homeschooling. It's a crazy show. You're having a crazy show. Companies that did that successfully in 2020, maybe they weren't making the sales projections that they had anticipated, but they didn't go away. What they did do was nurture and grow a community so that when that community was ready to buy that thing, that handbag, that shoe, that headband, they had created insane loyalty. And I just want to mention one company in particular because I love what they're doing. Coach, we all know Coach. We're all in the accessories in the accessories industry. If anybody, I don't know, realize this, but Coach kicked off, and I always say his name wrong. There is the former monk who's the author, who's a spiritual coach, Jay Shetty. Does anybody know who that is? Jay Shetty. Well, anyway, he teamed up with Coach, and they have a coaching conversations where he interviews famous entrepreneurs, or predominantly it's been entrepreneurs. Like they just did one with Jennifer Lopez, and it's called Coach Conversations. Now, Coach is not selling anything in this. All they are doing is nurturing and growing their community. I've seen Saks and Nordstrom do the same thing in their ads recently. It's like literally like a white page. There's some beautiful, actually, I saved one of them on my vision board in the back. And they're just nurturing and saying, we're with you. We see you when you're ready. We're here for you. In the meantime, check out some conversation or something, some kind of pep talk that we're doing. So really, really important to nurture and listen, whether it's on IG Live and polling. This is what's going to grow your community. Okay. Okay. By the way, Karen, do you want me to look in chats, or are you going to send me questions if anybody has questions?
I am going to butt in with questions. I'll save anything that comes in, in a like trend and try to gather them together. So feel free to ask them, and then I'll stick them in at the end.
So if anybody has questions, Karen will be filtering them, which is great because usually it's a one-woman show. I'm really excited about that. Okay, so my 3 secrets to building a community that buys, right? Because it's not just growing a community for the heck of it. We want to make sales because we want to grow our shoe closet or our headband closet, whatever it is, or our jewelry closet, right? So we want to grow a community that buys. So the first thing is know your audience. Sounds pretty simple, right? Know what you're selling. We're going to get to that. You're thinking, I know exactly what I'm selling because I make it, or I've been in the I physically make it, or the factory makes it, so I know what I'm selling. Maybe you do, and maybe you don't. And the last thing is share the right stories. So this is kind of where, TV Pamela comes in, and we start talking about how can you really share the right stories to make the right connections, to hit the right emotional marks, because ultimately it's the emotions that trigger sales. And you probably can think of an anecdote in your head right now where you bought something because of an emotional trigger. Okay. Oh, look, remember when we saw people? Wow, it's so exciting. Okay. This was literally the last in-person event that I was able to do. And this was at Bloomingdale's, which is also a member of the Accessories Council, I believe. I think they were, at least at some point. Okay. So know your audience. So one thing that I recommend everybody does is niche down. You've heard phrases like, the riches are in the niches, right? If you can talk to a specific community, then you can specifically understand their needs. You can specifically understand their pain points. You know who they or she, I'll just say she for the purposes of keeping it simple. You know what she needs, when she needs it, why she needs it, what she's going to do with it. I'm a big believer in niching down. I think that for me, one of the worst things that a client, when we're doing coaching, can say to me is, Pam, well, you know what? My jewelry appeals to the mom, but then the daughter loves it and gets it, and then the grandma gets it. And that's amazing, right? So you're telling me that your audience is basically 10 to 100, except who is really making the money purchases? Where is the real gravy train? Is it the mom? So is the daughter seeing it from the mom and borrowing it from the mom? Is the mom buying it for the daughter? Obviously, I guess it depends on the age and the product. And then the same thing with grandma. Is grandma seeing it from time to time? She's like, oh, you know what, Pam? I want to get that too. And then either mom buys it for her mom, or maybe grandma's like awesome and she went on the internet or whatever and to the store and she bought it. Where is the bulk gravy train coming from? Because that is your niche community. Everybody else, in my opinion, because we can't speak to 3 communities. Speaking to a teenager and speaking to a woman in her 40s and speaking to a woman in her 70s is 3 completely different needs. Okay, so if we can focus on, let's say 60% of it comes from the mom in her 40s, then you can begin to create what I say next is pick one person. So again, I believe that when you talk to everybody, you actually talk to nobody. So we niche down, and then can we get even more specific? And if anybody's ever heard me speak, you'll know what I'm about to say. I'm going to talk about my Kristen. Pick one person, pick one specific person, give her a name, give her a voice, create, if you want, like a little vision board. If that's not your jam, I know that's not everybody's thing, you can do it in words on paper, but can you pick one person? And it could be you, it could be your best, like it could be literally somebody you know, like your best friend, which is actually what I realized was my one person. Pick that person, make a vision board or do it in words and talk to her. Think about everything she is. So I'll give you my example for Hustle Like a Mom. And this, when I did this in, this was like early 2019. When I did this, it really, really helped me a lot because I knew when to say yes and when to say no. So my Hustle Like a Mom person is Kristen. Kristen is 36 years old. She has 3 boys under the age of 10. She used to, and by the way, this is coincidentally what I'm about to say. I just realized that she was in the accessories industry. But that was not planned. She used to work in the garment district in operations. Once she had her second child, she said, c'est la vie. She realized that was not going to work for her commuting to Manhattan. She lives in Manalapan, New Jersey, because she's an urban mom with a suburban mom. Sorry, she's a suburban mom with an urban mindset. So she needs to be not too far from the city. She wants to come in for her little bit of a song and dance and then come right back home to her yard and plethora of trees. Okay. I mean, I really boiled down. I talk about when I did my niche down and then my one person, I know exactly what she likes to eat, whether she likes to cook or order in. Kristen likes to cook most of the time, as do I. The reason why I got so specific is because this, if again, I know we're not all moms, but just most of us probably are women. If you're a busy entrepreneur, you're a busy mom entrepreneur, you do not have time, particularly in 2021, to go after all the glossy. So when you speak to one person and understand her or her or his specific needs, then you know when to raise your hand and say, you know what, that speaking engagement's not the right idea. That TV segment is. That boutique is right for me. This boutique I need to pass, because you know that your Kristen or your Mark or whoever it is not going to walk into that door. It just helps you go from frustrated to focused, because you know when to say yes and when to say no. Is my Kristen going to wear that? Is my Kristen going to spend that much? Is she ready to travel? No, she's not going to travel until 2022, right? All the questions. And then that gets into what problem of hers or his or their are you solving? And you're like probably thinking, well, Pam, I'm a jewelry designer, I'm a shoe designer, I'm a mitten designer. By the way, mittens are having a heyday this week, aren't they? Thanks to our inauguration, right? Anyway, if you're a mittens person, you should be getting onto that bandwagon. So what problem of hers or his are you solving? So this is kind of when I get into what I call, again, I bring this up and you can DM me if you want more clarification on it. My brand goddess temple, which is a formula I use when I coach one-on-one clients, and we build out your blueprint for your company. And we say, okay, what is the problem you're solving? And oftentimes when I'm approached by product people, they're like, I make tchotchkes, I make jewelry. What problem am I solving? I just want her to look pretty. Okay, but how? What is the emotional connection? What problem are you really solving? Because your community is what we call the foundation sentence in the Brand Goddess Temple. Your community is somewhere. You're trying to get her somewhere else. So is she seeking to have more confidence? And are you giving her bold style solutions? I mean, that's obviously very generic. We'd get more specific, but you're giving her some sort of solution to a problem. And again, that solution could be that you are giving her confidence. Are you giving her comfort, contentment? Is it the crossbody bag that she can do hands-free because she has kids? What problems are you solving for her? And when you start to delve into who she is, who that audience is, you begin to realize that, wait, she does have pain points. And hold on, I'm not just making jewelry. I'm making, again, because I'm wearing this. This is Lily Stuhe, by the way. I think she's an accessories council member. I'm not sure.
And we love those earrings.
Oh, good. Okay. So then I don't feel so bad. So am I giving her lightweight jewelry? This is super lightweight. I feel great about that. I can sit on a Zoom for an hour and then still go and do Hebrew school with my kids and still wear these and not feel like they're weighing me down. So solution to a problem of me wanting to look great in a second with some bold color, right? Headbands are having a moment. Why? Because it's Zoom friendly. Right? So what problems are you solving for her? Does she not have the time to do her hair? Does she go for long walks with the kids and she's always walking? So are you giving her, orthopedic shoes with style? What did you create a head wrap that protects her hair during the elements? What is the problem that you're solving? Because you're always solving some kind of problem. Otherwise, why do you exist? And we can, if you have specifics and you want to ask me like, hey, this is what I do, like really what problem am I solving? I will gladly help you. Okay. Okay. So know what you're selling. And hint, it's not your product or your service. So if anybody wants to be bold and tell me what their product is, and if not, I will use a generic example. Or Karen, if you see anybody and you want to flag them and just tell me what their product is, I can use them as an example if they want.
Okay, I have an example for you.
Oh, okay.
We have someone who's on who makes vegan handbags and is, asking about, do we think it's a purchase that takes longer to convert? What do we think? What's the advice for that
Ooh,
space
okay.
and nurturing community?
So I'll answer her question, and then if you want, I'll use the vegan handbag as the example. Okay. Okay. So as far as vegan handbags, and does it take longer to convert? I.e., you probably mean, do I need to educate the consumer, right, on why they should be investing in this handbag as opposed to going the route of a traditional, quote unquote, a traditional leather handbag? So the question actually falls back on, and I don't know who the brand is, the name.
Well, she used her name, so it's Mita.
Who?
Mita?
Mira?
Mita.
Mira. Okay.
Oh, brand is Story 81.
Story 81. Okay. So the question is, are you going after the community that already knows? Meaning, are you going after the vegan eating community that is already right in there with you, right? They already get it because they've already converted their eating habits, right? And their lifestyle habits. So this is now a complement to their life. Or are you going after somebody like me who is, on the cusp? For example, I could go either way. I could buy a leather handbag. I could buy a vegan handbag. So it kind of falls back on what community are you going after? And
Hey,
huh?
Hey, if everybody can mute themselves. That would be great.
So then it goes back to, what community do you want to go after? Because 15 years ago, I might have given you a different answer, but Karen, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the vegan lifestyle awareness community is large enough that if you wanted to swim in that pool as your gravy sauce, and in the process potentially bring in new people into the fold. For example, let's say, and I mean, obviously I haven't seen your Instagram, but and all that kind of stuff, that would help. But let's say that you are going after and engaging in conversations and organic virtual networking with other vegan communities, not handbag, vegan food brands, vegan lifestyle websites, vegan bloggers, etc. So you're bringing them into the fold, and they're going to help grow your community within their communities. The other thing in parallel that you might want to do is once a week or once a month. It depends on what you want to do. I personally think it's pretty okay if you have the time to do this once a week. Set up a routine of an Instagram live that is informational, so that people like me, and I mean, I might not be the best example because I'm already interested in that community. People like me might join in because you're going to educate me on why I should convert. Or maybe I'm not necessarily convert, but why I should at least get one less leather bag. For example, is there stats that you can start sharing in an IG live in conversation, let's say with somebody who is not a handbag designer, could be a scientist, could be a vegan eater, could be a vegan blogger, somebody else that complements your community, and you're educating me every week on, well, if you make one less choice like this and one less choice and one more choice like that, here's what happens to our environment. That's kind of when you add the fringe to the pot. So I hope that answers your question. And if I'm going to use you as an example and kind of go back to know what you're selling, you're not selling me a handbag, right? You're selling me a way to be a solution to a real problem, right? You're not selling me a handbag. You're selling me a better lifestyle choice, not just for myself, but for my children. Again, I always bring in children because I'm a mom, and that's just kind of, part of how I think. But do you see how if you're just trying to sell me a handbag, you're really not selling me anything? You need to get the messaging that gives me an emotional connection to your product. I always say this, I'm like, to nausea, which is that words matter and words evoke emotion. And it's the emotion that gives you the share to sell. That's the turnkey. That's the one that gets you the click and the conversion. That's the one that puts money in your pocket so that you can buy more Beyond Meat. which I love. I'm a big fan of Beyond Meat. Don't tell my family. They have no idea that for the last 2 months, they have not been eating beef. You don't say it, I don't say it. So it's not, you're not selling a product. Yes. You're not selling a product. What emotion will she feel when she uses your product or service? Because that's what you're selling. Are you selling her unforgettable attention, feeling bold, confident, joyful, grateful, fulfilled? Are you selling her convenience? Are you selling her comfort? If you tell me you're just selling her style, we're going to have to dig deeper, because that's, you know, a big word that, yeah, everybody's selling style, I hope. So really think about what is the emotional fulfillment that she's going to experience by purchasing your vegan handbag, by purchasing your scarf. Is she going to reawaken joy? Is she going to feel bold? Is she going to feel that, yes, she is finally being noticed in that virtual or in-person boardroom? What is that promised land that you're delivering for her? And so where am I? Okay. How does your product become the vehicle? I know this kind of feels so bold because we're talking about products, right? We're not talking about like a fitness regime that changes your life, or a sleep regime, or, you know, medical services. But how does your product become the vehicle from where she is, which when we talk about brand goddess temple, that's the foundation sentence, from where she is, from where your community is, to the dome sentence, right? Where she wants to be. What are the 4 brand goddess pillars? That's how I refer to it. What are the 4 values? What are the vehicles that take her from where she is to where she wants to be? Ultimately, what emotion are you selling? And where does she want to go? So I'll give you just as an example, and I know my business is a service business, but just to kind of give you a visualization, when I say brand goddess temple and like where she is to where she wants to be, these all sound like very lofty ideas. And sometimes when you don't put pen to paper, it just seems like this concept that's not really going to help anybody. But I promise you, when you master your messaging and you get clarity in that, saying yes and saying no, and showing up on Instagram and creating a winning lead magnet and knowing what to put on in your emails to get the conversion and the buys, really, really resonates. So foundation sentence, where your community is right now. For Hustle Like a Mom, we always say it's the mom seeking to align her personal and professional aspirations. It's pretty freaking specific, right? I am growing a community for women that want to align their personal and professional aspirations. There's a reason why 2020 Hustle Like a Mom blew up, because we were really put in a difficult place. The 4 pillars, the vehicles that bring her to the promised land, to the dome sentence, for me, my pillars are community, shared experience, accountability, and growth together. And I'm not going to get into all of how I use Brand Goddess Temple. Definitely you can DM me and we can talk about it. But just so you see what this looks like. And then the dome sentence of where she is, right? What is the vehicle? You know, what am I promising her? That we are a community of women that are doing, creating, and redefining what it means to be a working mom, right? It's not like working moms never exist. It's not like working from home is not work, but we are redefining what it means to be a working mom by creating a robust mompreneur community, specifically for, as I say, between the pickup and drop off mompreneur. That was me. Now it's the always homeschooling mompreneur, but prior to pandemic, it was between the pickup and drop off mompreneur. Okay. And this gets into, I think, my favorite part, which is sharing the right stories. I love sharing stories. That's why I love going on television and doing my segments. So sharing the right stories is really important, because when you show up in, whether it's media or you show up at a networking event and you're sharing something, or a virtual hangout for now, you want to make sure that you're sharing a story that continuously feeds into your purpose, your community. Okay. So one of the types of stories that you want to share is stories that connect. So this is basically, and some companies did this so well in 2020. I was so excited. This is the stories of the behind the scenes. This is you at your factory. This is you tinkering at the table. This is you, again, if it's applicable, this is you showing your child on your lap again, I don't have this right now because my kids are older, like throwing up, but you're figuring out how to answer the boss or the factory or whatever it is, right? That's connection, right? So whether it's connection on a personal side, which is, again, that might not be comfortable for everybody. Not everybody wants to show their life, if you will, beyond the business. I actually show a very controlled percent of my life, a very small percentage of my children, and basically 0% of my husband, because that's the kind of like the negotiations that we have in this house. So when I say connect and share the behind the scenes, that does not mean that I need to see your entire life. When you share when you share stories that connect, it does not mean that I need to see what you're eating in the morning, unless, going back to Miss Vegan over there, if you're showing me that you're eating a really awesome vegan meal, and then maybe later on in the day, you tell me the recipe, that's a connection, because that builds into your community of either vegans or vegan wannabes or whomever, right? So that makes sense. The other type of stories, sure, we're good on time. The other type of stories is credibility. So credibility is either a testimonial. Did somebody write something beautiful or do a little video for you of wearing your product? Whether it's a celebrity or Mary down the street. P.S. Mary down the street these days, I think, is more valuable than a celebrity. And if you want to know why, you can ask me. But I believe that 10 Marys are equal to like one celebrity. This is just true, if not 1-to-1. So show credibility. Testimonials are one way to do it. And you can share them creatively on your blog, in your newsletter. It could be in social media, obviously. And everybody, by the way, if you don't have a free subscription to Canva, please do that now. Everything that you see on my Instagram, this presentation, anything that ever comes out these days is on Canva. And up until literally 4 months ago, I was using the free version. I just converted, and it's worth I think it's like $24 a month to make every single visual humanly possible. And you can make beautiful Canva prints that go on Instagram about testimonials. The other thing about credibility is press. Have you gotten some local love? I don't care if it's the Milwaukee Gazette. You want to start there, that's fine. All press is good press for the most part. All press is good press. And the thing about press that's interesting is just because you appeared on Pix 11 New York does not mean that you're going to make sales. Okay, I hate to say this, but this is a fact. Just because you've been even on the Today Show does not mean that you're going to move inventory. Although if you're on the Today Show and Good Morning America, you probably are moving inventory. And if you're not, then we need to revisit pricing, but that's a separate conversation, because those are sellout moments usually. Press, once it hits, you need to be able to repurpose that forever. You need to make that into a slide on Instagram, a swipe ups, the featured product. It needs to be a wow. You need to be talking about it. It needs to go into your newsletter. And depending on, let's say you were featured in my upcoming NBC segment on Best Valentine's Day Gifts. Okay. Which, if I was doing this, which I am, is going to be Best Valentine's Day Gifts, and all the products would be created by mom entrepreneurs, because that's my brand messaging. Let's say you were in that segment. You show this now. There's no reason why next year that shouldn't show up on your Instagram again. Press should be used over and over and over again. You should milk it for as much as it's worth. So that's sharing stories about credibility. And the last one is showing results. That's, I would actually say, a little bit more for service people, like if you were a coach and you can say, look, my clients did A, B, and C, or you were a nutritionist, the same thing. So showing results, sometimes not necessarily applicable to most accessory brands, so we can kind of skip that little one. And I know we have questions, so just kind of as a quick recap. Know your audience. There is nothing more valuable than decoding your community and getting as specific as humanly possible. Really, really specific, because when you sell to everybody, you sell to nobody. And as just a personal anecdote, as somebody, I mentioned in the beginning, I began with bagtrends.com. We launched Shop Bag Trends. We launched Bag Trends Arm Candy Parties, which were live parties. I went on HSN. I was their handbag person. I did trend forecasting for Now It's Magic, before it used to be called WSA, as their handbag person. And then a little agent that I shouldn't have listened to said, Pam, we're going to get you more money if you can just expand. And so I did. So first I went from just handbags to more accessories, then from accessories to all fashion. And then I became a talking head for everybody. And for a brief period of time, that made a nice amount of money. But in the end, when you talk to everybody, you talk to no one. And little by little, I was no longer as niche and specific as I used to be. And I was in a hell of a pickle. So it's really, really important to niche down. Know what you're selling. Okay. What is the emotional connection that she's going to have from your product? That's what you're selling. Confidence, joy, reawakening, a second act, whatever it is. And then obviously share the right stories. Okay. If you need help narrowing down your audience, coming up with messaging and storytelling, that's my jam. Knowing how to pitch based on your messaging. So I actually have kicking off on February 4th, a 4-week group coaching program called Mastering Your Messaging. You can learn more by going to the website, hustleLikeAmom.com. You can email me, and I'd love to talk to you about it a little bit more. Ironically, if I look at the numbers, I actually did this before, 70% thus far who've signed up are accessory brands, which is wild because I didn't let anybody know about my background, but that's kind of funny. So you'd be in good company.
I'm gonna
hold on.
take the screen there.
Yeah, let me hold on. Oh, and I think Karen's going to send this out. And if anybody wants to do one-on-one, not group, but one-on-one, you could do 15% off a one-on-one coaching with me. You'll see this in the replay, so I don't have to keep this up, but you just have to use code AC and then you get the 15% off. And nope.
Well, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Hey, if anyone has any questions, you can either put them in the chat or send them to me. I see that you have your website up in the chat, so that's wonderful. Anybody who's on that has accessories, and if you have any questions that are accessory specific, I am happy to answer those too. I'm just going back through to see if we got everything.
Yeah, if anybody has questions specific to their business, if we have time, I'm happy to answer them. I do, honestly, I think.
Pam, can you tell me a little bit about your session? Like what's coming up and what can one expect from it? It's kind of exciting.
Sure. So this is the one-on-one, and then the one that I mentioned before, which is this gal right here.
Yeah.
This is Master Your Messaging. So it is a 4-week group coaching program. I will say that it is geared towards mompreneurs in the sense that everybody who's signing up is a mompreneur. Again, the business information is not specific to moms. However, I do structure things in a way that is realistic to a time frame of a mom entrepreneur. So it's not going to be a situation where I say, okay, homework guys, every night this week, I want you to spend 2 hours practicing your reels shots. That's just not realistic. So the way that the program is broken down is we focus on mastering your messaging, because I do believe that that is the key ticket to success in 2021 and beyond. And I always say, if you spend as much time on the words of your company as you do on scrolling on Instagram, you're going to be so successful. The first week what we do is we focus on creating your brand goddess temple, which I briefly mentioned. It's basically the blueprint for your company. So we focus on what is going to be your foundation sentence, what are the 4 pillars or the values of your company, and then what is the dome sentence. The group is small. I'm capping it at 15, and we have 4 or 5 spots left now. And week 1, we work on your brand goddess temple. That's every Thursday for 2 hours from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, if you can't make live, you do get replay. I do encourage everybody to join live. And then Sunday is office hours, so you can ask more questions. The second week, we use the brand goddess temple to help you go from frustrated to focused in Instagram. I go over the 9 possible, and I promise you there's only 9, content buckets for Instagram. We decide how your brand goddess pillars are going to feed into the content. And then I help you as a group, come up with what are the content buckets that you're going to use so that you feel less frustrated. So that literally in the span of like an hour or two every Sunday, you can map out your entire structure for the month on Instagram because you have the guidelines. You're no longer frustrated. You're using a very specific messaging formula. Week 3, we use the same Brand Goddess Temple to come up with a lead magnet. Does anybody not know what a lead magnet is? Do you want me to explain it? I don't know if anybody has.
You know what? Why don't you explain it?
Yeah.
And we do have a question or two that are
Yeah.
mixed.
So
here.
basically, a lead magnet, and even product people, not just service people, need to have this. Lead magnet is a fancy way to say a freebie or a download. Okay. It's like, you know, if you go to my website and you're not going to buy anything. You're not buying a ticket to an event. You're not buying a coaching. You don't want to buy anything, but I would love for you to be part of the community because I know that you might be interested in what I'm offering in the future. So I created a freebie, which is shared, a version actually of this. It's a smaller version of this presentation called Share to Sell. You give me your email. I give you this, 6-page PDF that you can work through. So that's what a lead magnet is. And people get very frustrated on like, what should I put in this? Well, if you did the work in week 1 with Brand Goddess Temple, we will come up with the rock star lead magnet for you, freebie for you. So that's week 3. Again, every Sunday, we also have office hours where we're going to run those on a private Facebook Live group. So all 15 ladies can still connect with each other during the week. If they have questions for each other, and then I pop into the Facebook group. I also check homework. And then week 4 is the press. So I will decode all the possibilities of press. What is the difference between pitching a TV producer versus a TV personality? What does it mean getting into a product segment versus you physically going on as the jewelry designer and giving a segment yourself? Different ways to pitch magazine editors. We come up with a roadmap for you so that you walk away with at least one successful email that you can send out to a producer or a magazine editor that will not be ignored. So it's Brand Goddess Temple, how to use it for successful Instagram posting. We come up with your schedule, your lead magnet, and then press happy. How do you pitch the press with successful messaging? Because at the end of the day, as somebody who is a member of the press, I get a lot of pitches, and there's only so many that I open, and I open the winners. The winners are the ones that basically give me a winning TV segment. So we get into, if you're a product person, which all of you ladies are, and I think the gent, then you just emailing me and saying, this is a great product. Oh boy, it better be so freaking good for me to open it. However, you emailing me with a real subject pitch, that's when I get open. And so we're going to get into how to make friends with the media through that first email. So that's Master Your Messaging. It kicks off February 4th, 4 weeks, 4 Thursdays, plus the Sunday office hour. And then, dare I say it, unlimited access to me via email and a private Facebook group. So I'm excited.
Hey, Pam, can we go back? And there's a couple questions.
Yes.
And then why don't you, while we're answering those questions, pop up the other screen with the discount that you're offering? Because there was a question about that. So there's the discount offer. And okay, so we have someone on who makes their brand makes multiple items. So it's not just jewelry. She might make a plant hanger. It might be an earring. It could be a household item, and is asking about finding the perfect client. And it sounds like she has a medium that is macrame that might be consistent for all of those items. So Karen, if that's not correct, let me know. But multi-categorical, the thread of it being, I guess, the look of the product.
So what is her question?
It is, what are some tips to find your perfect client?
So that's a good question. So it's interesting. So you have this thread, right, is the material, and that is a unifying something, right? It comes down to what is your price point? I can't grow the community for somebody. We would have to sit down and kind of go back and forth, and you tell me, is anybody buying it now? Like, do you have any data to go off of who is buying it now? What is the price point? Because that's going to dictate the markets that you go after. the influencers that you approach, the press that you approach, right? Specifically the magazines, right? If your macrame is a $500 bathing suit, or, you know, versus a $20 earring, right? You're going after Departures magazine. That's where your community is. You're not going after, you know, the local Gazette or the New York Post, which wants a $20 piece. They're not necessarily going to feature a $500 bathing suit, as opposed to like a Departures or a Condé Nast Travel that will. So I think your price point will dictate your community, or the other way around. You decide whom you're going after, and you set the price point based on that. Although, Karen, I think you'd probably agree that going that way is probably a harder route, because then you're like looking for the manufacturers and the production that will fit that mold. So I think the pricing will determine partially the community, but you need to sit down and think of who's going to buy this. Why is she going to buy this? Is this macrame piece make her feel like summer vibes all the time? Is this, you know, is this a solution for a specific season? Is it an all year round thing? I'd have to see it to like better understand it. But you have to start beginning to play around with what else she might like. So sometimes working backwards help, and this maybe will be able to help others. What does she not like? And that might help you kind of fill in the gaps of the white space of what she does like. I hope that helps.
Yep.
Is that, I see somebody shaking their head, so I'm wondering if Karen, is that you?
I don't know. I just see your presentation. So I have.
Okay. I thought I saw somebody shaking their head, so that's why I thought it was their brand, but okay.
Yeah, that's me. And
okay.
It does help.
Okay.
It's just that when you have, I guess the thread is that it's all handmade. So
Huge.
it's really.
So that is having a huge moment.
Not mass produced.
I think that
is hard.
Which is what, horrible? Is that what you're saying?
Which is hard, because what I'm trying now is to try and, like you're talking about price point, that's so important, because, you know, when you're physically hand making it, there is something unique to it. That's your, almost like an artisan type.
So these are the
like
words.
These are my earrings. So they're handmade macrame like earrings.
Can you find me on Instagram and DM me so I can see?
Sure.
Yes. So I would say, first of all, the handmade, hand touched artisanal pieces are having a moment. I don't want to say right now, but yeah. I feel like people want that so much, because not to say that we're not going to go to the Old Navies of the world, if you will, but there's something about knowing that I'm supporting a small business owner, yes. That they made this with their hands. So I would say, as far as like growing your community, go and listen in other places where those communities exist. I don't know if you're sold on Etsy. You could be, you don't have to be.
I sell on Etsy. Yeah, that's primarily where my sales. And then I do pop-up markets in different stores. I've been able to like be featured artisans in stores, like where they allow me to consign.
So I would say start listening in and growing your community within those artisanal areas, right? Mm-hmm. Join not necessarily just jewelry, but what is complementary, anything that is handmade, handcrafted. And then maybe, guess what? 3 months go by and you realize, you know what? That's actually not my community. I'm a jeweler. I'm going to use, like, I'm not that community, right? Because that's a very specific thing too, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not just macrameing this and like la-di-da. There's something else here. So I think explore, but I would say also do a lot of Instagram listening and learning. I'm really big on IG polling. Like I will take off, put your earrings out there and just say like, hey, like I made this by hand. Like, I'm just curious, what do you guys think about, would you pay more for handmade or not really?
Yeah.
And you can look at your numbers and say, oh my gosh, I have 75 people following me. Maybe it doesn't matter, but it does, because 75 people, maybe 10 will give you an answer. Maybe in a month, a few more will give you an example, an answer. Polling on Instagram is golden.
Okay.
It's golden.
Hey, there was one last question, and it had to do with Instagram. So it's a perfect segue. And it says, other than posting on Instagram, what are some ways to take advantage of the press that I have received?
A blog. So search engine optimization. If you appeared in a TV segment, or if I feature you in my, Pam's picks for February, you need to do a blog post, and it could be really, really simple. Your brand name, I see you, Vicky, so I'll pick on you. Next door goddess in, NBC 5. Because then what happens is that's going to increase your search value, right? So when somebody goes and searches for your company, it's going to be, ooh, they had that press, and it stays there forever. So even if the TV station at some point decides to take down the video, or the magazine, article is no longer online, although that doesn't really happen anymore these days, you always have it. So share it on Instagram, share it on your blog, share it in your weekly or monthly newsletter saying, hey, we are so excited. And by the way, this is so important. I love when people do this. Now, you're not just like la-di-dying yourself out. You say, I couldn't have done this without you. Your support got me here. Thank you to my, my loyal, whatever your phrasing is, and put it in your newsletter. Excite them. Let them know, like, hey, you just bought something, and you know what? Now it's featured in this magazine and this TV station. And 2 months from now, maybe you'll get more press. So press is only good if you use it. I can't tell you how many conversations I had with my friends who are in PR, who are, literally complaining about their clients, because the client's like, well, I've had all this press, but no sales. And then you have to look at them and say, but what did you do with it? I got you in Health Magazine. I mean, not me, like with the PR firm. I got you here. I got you here. I got you here. And you stared at it. I'm so glad that you read the Health Magazine, but now what? It's on you to go into a Canva or a whatever PicMonkey, whatever platform you prefer. And with your little branding, your signature colors, your words, you regurgitate that information on your blog. And then if you pin the blog, you pin to the blog, you have to make it as much as you have to make the wave. No. How do I phrase it? You have to ride the wave as long as possible. That's what I was fishing for a surfing terminology. You have to ride the wave for as long as possible. And then guess what? Again, 6 months from now, you remind people, hey, guess what? Guess what? That product that's like running low on stock, it was featured in A, B, and C, or worn by so-and-so. Milk it. You have to milk it for as much as possible, because press alone is not going to convert to sales, but it can convert to growing a community if it's used effectively.
Great. So Pam, thank you so much. I did record the session, and so we'll send that out, and it's going to have your information in it. We'll put your information in it for everyone who was able to join us. If anyone has questions about the Accessories Council, you want to receive our newsletter or magazine, let me know. And
You have a question?
Pam, thank you.
Oh,
I have a question. I mean, could you, because I've been wondering about the council and what exactly it is that you're doing, and I'd like to have a clear picture of it, because it sounds so exciting, but
Well, the Accessories Council it's a business not-for-profit that was founded in the mid-1990s, kind of the height of minimalism of fashion. And the industry got together and said, hey, designers, if you're not going to feature accessories, we're going to find ways to promote ourselves. So it doesn't say it anywhere as bluntly as I'm going to put it, but really we exist to help our members sell more stuff, whatever that is. And if you look at our membership, there's about 350 members, and some are very fine designers, some are artisans. We have companies that have one person working for them, and others that have thousands and thousands. So, but it's still the same mission, and that is to increase sales and awareness. So pretty much anything that we do has that as the goal. So today's a great example. We do educational events and opportunities all the time. I listen to Pam, I learn things. I'm reminded of things that will help me. It might save me time. It might give me an idea on how to grow my business. Tomorrow we have a session at 11 o'clock in the morning with Cosmopolitan magazine and a company called Klarna. Klarna is a payment method. It lets you basically allow for financing on your website. And Klarna and Cosmo have gotten together and they're doing an event. They've already done a couple, but they're inviting our members to participate. It's called Holiday. It's Hauliday. And it's about shopping. So again, right in line with our mission and helping sell more product. In February, we have a number of sessions. We have trend presentation. We're doing work with NPD. We have other experts. So you'll always find education. We do a lot of networking. Hopefully soon, hopefully this year, we'll get back to our women's networking events. They were amazing. And one of my favorite things that we've done ever, really. It's just feel good and people helping each other. We have a mentoring program that will launch this spring. It's a weekly series. It's on Instagram Live. Anybody can participate, and we'll have different experts taking on topics for mainly startup and young businesses. We have a Design Excellence Awards, which is it's basically a contest where the product is the king, and we take submissions. We come up with finalists, the public votes on those finalists, we give awards out in September. We have press events. Right now we're working on Mother's Day press. We're still doing a little last minute Valentine's Day, but mostly Mother's Day. We make them very affordable. So really the Accessories Council is there to educate, help, guide, counsel. I mentioned we just relaunched Accessories Magazine, so that's kind of our baby at the moment. That'll be a quarterly digital publication, but it's shoppable. So it's kind of a hybrid. It's a little bit consumery, but it's also there for the trades. We have a newsletter that comes out every Monday, and that always has all of our events and opportunities. Most of them are free. If they're not free for everybody, they're free for our members. And we always tell our community, you kind of get out of it. You can't just sit back. You have to put something into it. We need to know what you're doing and working on. We need to see your product. We need to see your launches. We want to hear about collaborations. The last time we had a session, I spoke at one of Pam's sessions actually, and discovered that we had a member who was doing a collaboration with one of Pam's companies, and like we didn't even know about it. So, if you let us know when cool things are happening, then we have tools to help promote it. If you sit back and do nothing, don't waste the money. It's only $500 to join for the year, and for most companies, big companies pay a little more, small companies pay $500, and almost everything is free or very low cost. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm easy to find. It's Karen@accessoriescouncil.org. I'll put it into the and you can email me and we'll send you more information. Oops, that might not have gone to everybody. This thing's crazy. There we go. Excellent. Well, thanks everybody for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you at our holiday event tomorrow. If anyone would like to join us, another webinar coming up soon.
And I will
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Pam.
Thank you.